This is the formal introduction now to the use of the spear. Spear, of course, considered by the Chinese the king of all weapons, more so than even the sword because of the reach that was involved. Also, it was very easy to train an entire army of men to use the spear where it's almost impossible for the sword. Also, look what's involved in the amount of metal. When you're working with the sword, from here this takes precision, it takes craftsmanship. With the spear, all you have basically is a flexible staff, and you have a head that's very easily made. Anyone can forge it out. The one thing that you want, and you'll notice this is why I've got this particular one taped as a back, I've already broken it. The one thing that you want in a spear, from here, for its maneuverability and the ability to get in there, more so the staff, you want the whip. That's the one thing that you want. Now, inherent within the use of the spear is the fact that it can also be very complicated. Technically and classically, there are 30 different movements that were done with the spear. What I'm going to do at this point, the first spear set that we're going to introduce you to is called 4-point spear. It is simply the first half of the 8-point. As we get into the last half on the next set of kata tapes, it's a lot more technical, but what I'm going to try to do now, before we get into any of these, are give you the basic exercises now to prepare you for the different sets that are going to come. Fortunately, being of the Chinese system, we don't have to worry about the stances because we've had them, most of them. The first stance is very simple. The movements are done with the feet together. The movements are done from a horse. The movements are done from a bow, or they're done lunging into the bow. The next set of movements we've had also from here. We either cross from here in front, or we cross back. Okay. Now the only set of movements that we have from here, which makes the sets more spectacular, is you go into the air. Okay. Generally what we do, we take these off of just a single set of movements and things like that. The students always ask me, when we do these spins, how many do you want me to do in the air? Like I point out, 12. But I'll take as many as you can give me. Obviously, a person cannot do 12. If you can do 1 in the air, you do 1 in the air. If you can do 2 in the air, you do 2. With skill, from here, you'll gain more. Basically, your spinning movements from here, it's just a matter in this particular case of taking perhaps one step and coming down to you've made a 360-degree turn. The turns can also be done going backwards. A lot of times a person likes to take a single step, simply go down and come into the movements from here. So what you can do, you just take it almost from a stationary position from here, just turn, get as many spins as you can, coming forward and back. These are simply the exercises. What happens is you get the spear in motion from here, the spear will help to put you into momentum. Okay, so basically what we have from here are the basic stances we've always used. We cross in front, we cross back, we do the spinning movement, and one inherent movement that is included in all of these, and I will not introduce it this time because I want to make a special section because of the danger involved if you don't have mats, is the rolling with a spear. Rolling is bad enough from here, but when you have to take it with a weapon in your hand, and there's different ways that you use it. Remember, anytime you're rolling, though, with any type of weapon, the basic idea is the weapon is put in such a manner from here with the hand. When you roll over it from here, the weapon is always going to be behind you. What happens, too many people, when they're doing a spear set or a roll, put it out in front. Notice as you do it, it's put behind you and laid here. The same thing is true of the butterfly knives and any weapon that you roll with. It's always passed behind you. You can almost lay it on the ground. When you roll forward from here, there's no chance that you're going to end up on the weapon. When it comes to the hand movements with the spear now, we have to have a definition of terms on certain movements. two basic movements used throughout all of the sets are what we call a stabbing movement and a spearing movement, and it's simply a definition of term. A stabbing movement, by definition, means that there's no sliding of the hands whatsoever. You're actually stabbing in. When we're talking about a spearing movement, that means you're actually using a sliding movement and you're spearing forward. Of course, it's a trade-off. The stabbing movement has more power from here but limited reach. Notice that the same thing if I use the spearing movement from here now, you can spear forward, but what you're using now basically is simply the extension of the stab, of the spear. So the first two movements that you'll practice, and these will be in the kata, will be the stabbing movement and the spearing movement. The next set of movements now that is used continuously throughout all sets are small circles, large circles. Notice in this particular case, I have them going in the same direction. They can be reversed, small and large. Okay. The next movement that you can work with, and you have to get through a Chinese supplier, an actual Chinese type of staff, generally imported from mainland China, that is still flexible enough that it will not break. On each of the movements, and what you learn to do also from here is to whip the movement from here. Whip it down, whip it forward from here. What we do then is we take our circular movements from here, we learn to cross in, and we learn to cross back and put the spearing movements from here. Okay, the next basic movement that I want you to practice from here is what we call the hooking movement. Notice the big circle. It does not complete through a 360 degree, it only comes up. Okay. The next phase, I'll come back and put more emphasis upon this also. The complete movement forward, and then the complete movement back from here. As you're working forward, and you're working back, you're working forward. When we take the first kata, the 4-point will take only the elementary movements. Okay, but on your own now, once again the series from here that you'll practice from here. The spear and the stab. The circles clockwise and counterclockwise from here. The whipping movement. The hooking movement. Spearing in, spearing back, and these can be put now in conjunction with any and all of the stances. Feet together, horses, bows, and around. The final movement that we have from here that you practice, we also take in the spear sets, is the actual whipping from here. Also, this can be done in conjunction with your steps. But one thing you have to worry about is I have a very large studio here myself. I barely clear the walls. Also, I have a 16-foot ceiling from here, so you have to be very careful on these particular movements. Taken formally then, from here, the 8-point spear, the first half of the 4th point, which it is more than anything else, is very disciplined. It's done in a very stylized movement from here. The main emphasis being on power from here, not speed. breakdown of the 4-point spear, each of the individual sections. You'll notice there were 4 different direction base will be taken at more than one angle. Okay. Basically, when we had the salutation, you came out straight. Notice that in this particular case, the right hand came back from here, so it simply turned over in position. Okay. The complete first set of movements then have our basic stabbing movement from here. Notice the hand stays in position, there's no spearing. So what we're doing on the first section, we're doing 4 spears. Feet together. Horse, bow, and then the lunge bow. Let me take it at the kata angle, then I'll reverse my direction 90 degrees. From the salutation, come back. Notice at this point, the feet are absolutely together from here. I go into my next movement. As I draw back from the stab, I'm in the horse. From here, maintain the horse as you stab out, using the throat basically as a reference point. Once again, feet together. The stab, the horse and the stab. Draw back, the bow and the stab. Draw back, notice I'm in the horse, and I lunge and come forward with the bow. Let me take this at a 90-degree reversal angle from here. From the salutation, we're in this position. I'm going to square a horse. My feet are together when I make my first stabbing movement. I draw into the horse. Remain as I stab. Draw back. Bow, but notice the feet do not move except into the bow. I draw back, and then to gain the distance. That's exactly what we do from here. I shuffle into the bow with the stab. The next section on the kata now, from here, involves exactly the same 4 positions of feet. Feet together, horse, bow, and lunge bow, but as we do each of these, we're using a spearing movement. From here, I won't have to reverse the angle on this particular one, because in the kata and the transition, you've got an adequate view. Take it from your last movements from here now. We came around and I had a lunge bow. Notice it from here now. I'm going to bring the feet together. As I do, as soon as I hit position from here, I want to shoot this bow from here, shoot the staffs in a spearing movement. So your movement from here as I come around here. Notice at this point, I haven't moved. As I draw into the horse now, I cock the motion from here. I stay in the horse and shoot the spear. Notice that from here, this will come in and back. I remain in position. This time, I go forward into the bow, spearing out, come back to the horse. This time, I lunge into the bow, and my transition from here will come to horse, will be a 180-degree reversal. Okay. Once again, I'll take this at the angle from here, simply explain what I'm doing from here, then I'll change 180 degrees so you can see the exact movements of my hands. On the final movements from here, the second slide, the second section, feet together, the spear, the horse, the spear, draw back, the bow, draw back, and the lunge bow. Notice I cock as I come around. Notice now as we get to the third section, we have only 3 stances. The horse, the bow, and the lunge bow. So after the first 2 sections, we eliminate the feet together. Your movement from here. I come around the horse. Now what we're going to do is to take the first 2 sections we had and incorporate them into the third. The first movement from the horse stance will be a stabbing movement, then it'll be a spearing movement, and this transition will take place on each of the individual stances. Stab, spear, go to the bow, stab, spear, and then the lunge. Same movement from here as I come around. Notice it from the horse stance. I stab, I draw it back. I spear and draw it back. I stab. The feet remain the same. I stab, go to the bow. Same movement, I come back. I spear, come back. Once again, I'm going to stab. I'm going to lunge into the bow, but make sure it's a stabbing movement. I draw back. I'm going to lunge into the bow again, but this time it's a spear. I will now take this, the reverse angle from here, so you can see what we're doing. We just came around off my last spearing movement from here. I'm going to square horse, and I stabbed out as I come from here. I cock this particular movement back. So your first movement, actual movement from here is your spear, is your stab. From the horse, from here, I shoot the spear out. I remain in position from here, but I go to the full bow as I stab. I come back. It's the bow again. I do not move the feet. Spear back. This time I lunge with a stab into the bow. I draw back and I lunge into the spear. The transition now to the fore section is going to be done with my back use, so I'll take it in the kata, then once again reverse the motion from here. Notice that my transition also, as I come around from here, will be the horse stab with a stabbing movement as I come around. So your movement from here, I've just gone through my last movement here, the shuffle, from here, the shuffle. I cock, strike in from here. Notice we've got the same basic, this time I cross, cock, shoot the spear in a bow. I'm going to come around 180 degrees as I do. From here, I've cocked this movement. I'm going to go into the same procedure now. As I lunge into the bow, spear, draw up with the left foot, and the salutation now is a little bit different. This time from here, it comes underneath the hand to allow me to tip this over. The point of the spear comes down. Let me take this final section now at a different angle. We came around from here off of my last stabbing movement. I come around to a square position. From here as I do, I stab. I leave that stab out. This is part of the exercise I gave you. We cross into it. I go to a full bow now as we spear. As I cross back to get in position from here, I cock the hand, I lunge into the bow, draw with the left foot to position your transition out. Let me put those last two sections together in the kata to give you the final transition. The third section, you came around from here. The stab in position, the spear. The bow, the stab, the bow in the spear. The lunge, bow with the stab, the lunge. As I come around, I cock, spear out. Leave the movement from here. Cross stance. I go into a full bow now as I spear. Leave the hand out. As I come around, I cock. I lunge bow as I come forward. Foot comes to position. Drop it by the left side. The salutation, the hand drops under. The point comes down. 4-point spear, first half, the easiest half of 8-point spear.